Alright, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm back. I put out a podcast today just to see my computer crapped out, funnily enough, and the video I put out yesterday on YouTube, which was one of the videos I played, well, one out of the two videos I put on my podcast today. I stated that, it's been a while since I've had anything weird happen with my phones and computer and not be able to make an episode. The only times I don't make episodes if I'm too busy, or, I always have the willingness to want to record, most of the time anyways, unless I'm in a, like I said, if I'm mad sometimes, I still feel like I want to record, but I don't because, I'm mad. It's going to come out bad. But, I always want to record regardless. So I haven't had any issues preventing me from record, besides unless I'm in a bad mood or whatever, I'm just too busy. And those are the only things that really stop me from recording. And then I say that, and then my fucking computer that I was using for my podcast and saving all my stuff just craps out. So I was able to save my information. I was able, because I know a little bit about, the hardware and being able to take the hard drive off. And I have another something I can connect it to, which allowed me to get the information off of it. So that's all good. But yeah, to never be used again is my computer for podcasting. So if you notice I'm not making many podcasts, that might be why. I tested one today. It was just literally playing my video into the microphone of a headset to kind of make it not sound so shitty, and it sounded pretty shitty. I just listened to some of it and I was like, man. I mean, if someone turns it low enough, it's not so bad, but it's just, I don't think I'll be keeping it on there very long. Ideally, it didn't sound good, so my apologies for that. And if you haven't watched it and you've seen this, well, once again, it's already videos. If you're watching YouTube, you don't really need to look at the podcast. Very seldom lately do I put episodes on the podcast. That being said, all my beginning episodes that are on YouTube, on my podcast, they're on YouTube through the podcast. There's no video though there, so it's like all the information I have in the beginning that I came up with when I was recording my voice on the podcast, that's all original to the podcast. And I think it's worth checking out. I think it's very good information. Obviously, I came up with it. I'm revisiting a lot of the ideas and expanding on them now, as you would. But, that's what I do. I'm here to teach ceremonial magic and witchcraft and how you combine the two together to have a successful practice, have a successful life, have a healthy life, have money coming in, have partners, mates, keep them satisfied when you do have them, and, do magic and try to, I can't teach you how to become enlightened, I guess, but this is the path to enlightenment as far as I can tell. And I guess it depends on your definition of enlightenment, but, what I'm trying to do is just enjoy my life. And it's hard to enjoy your life whenever you're thinking that everybody's out to get you and shit like that, like the government. So once you can get away from that kind of crap, then you're good to go. All that being said, I'm about to start looking into all that information that I was asked to look into from one of my, I guess, subscribers and or watchers, not followers, but one of the people that watch me, one of the viewers, and I really appreciate them giving me the input and all the very nice comments I was given. So to show my appreciation, I'm going to go look into all that, and I'm going to be probably expanding on one of those ideas coming up in this video. So stay tuned for that shit. All right. So I began watching Tony Sawyer, maybe it's Sawyer, because that was one of the names that the person who subscribed to me thinks is chakra removal, and some of the other things he says is bang on. And so I've only watched 2 videos so far. Well, a quarter of one video and a quarter of another video. And there's a lot of things he brings to the table in the chakra removal video that I was watching that I guess you could say makes sense on one level. Because the things he says about negative entities being able to feed off you and all this, that's not inaccurate. It's not inaccurate at all. However, whether the chakra system is real or fake, I can't tell you. I can tell you that I use the chakra system Like I said previously, as above, so below. To use also his words, the Hermetic principles. There's 7 Hermetic principles. There's 7 chakras in your body, just like there's 7 notes, 7 days of the week. Blah blah blah. 7 is an important number. These things, if they're really swirling little pulls inside of our body, energy centers, who knows? So, he could be accurate about that, absolutely. But they are attached to these very important glands within our body. And you can say, well, that's mainstream science, that's medical, that's bullshit. It's like, no. If you look at Chinese medicine, they use these meridian points. Now, sorry about that. Chinese medicine usually uses more than the 7 meridians. Once again, like I said, if you do the microcosmic orbit just as a beginning tool to get into some of these deeper chi-related techniques, you'll see that there's these meridian points all over your body, and you have to visualize the energy going through them. The point of doing this is to actually protect you. It can't necessarily say it makes your aura stronger, but it does, because whenever you make the energy flow around your body stronger, it creates harmony within your body. It makes your heart probably stronger. I don't know. I can't really tell you exactly how it works, because these things are all metaphysical that you can't really see or know. But what I do know is how you feel after you do these exercises. And to me, whether that's real or fake, it doesn't really matter. If you're visualizing something happen, then you're making it happen. Because as much as we can say this is a video game, it's a holographic reality, it's not real. If you put your hand on the table and you put a knife through it, you're going to have pain. And yeah, okay, it's just a video simulation, and maybe when you die, you just come back as a new person, and that's part of the simulation. Sure, okay, but the people that you leave behind are going to be in pain. You, in the moment when you put that knife through your hand or axe off your finger, you're going to be in pain. That is real. So it's a fake reality, to this, in the sense of even when you die, you come back. And I'm all for people not mourning people's deaths. It's part of my beliefs, being a witch. I believe we celebrate death and all that. But as a human being, brought into our culture where we mourn death, I would still miss someone who I'm close to if I was not able to see them ever again and know that they've passed on. So it doesn't change that pain. You will feel that pain. You can live without positive emotion, but you can't live without negative emotion. And that's the premise of all this stuff, is that if you have this abundance of negative emotion, it's some entity controlling you. And I believe there are negative entities out there in other realms. I believe there is possibilities of all that. And I've seen things, I know things happen. However, I get negative emotions still. I get angry still, all the fucking time. But it isn't no entity controlling me when that happens. I use the chakra system. I use the planets. I use deities. I don't have no negative entities controlling me. I have protections up. I've created my own entities to protect my person, my entity, me. I've created those things. So, and once again, I'm not here to bash anybody. I think this guy is legitimately trying to help people. I think he really is. I think he's trying to get to the truth. Problem is, when you go down, and this is a problem for everybody, and this is how you can ever prove right or wrong with this shit, is when you start going down this path, and you start thinking, okay, well, everything we learned in school is bullshit. Okay, what else do they lie about? And then you get to a point where you're in spirituality, and then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, they're also lying within spirituality. Now the chakra system is like, it's like you actually have to ground yourself in what is real within your life. You have to figure out, and now I kind of understand what Thunder Wizard might have been saying, because like I'm always harping against him when he says stuff like, you need to know if you went to the moon or not. You need to have some beliefs. You rather someone have the opposite beliefs than him than have no beliefs. And I don't believe that's completely true, because I believe you can have the opposite belief with somebody, or you can be in the middle. I'm not in the middle on a lot of things that I can't prove. When it comes to shit that I can't prove, I think having an opinion of it really doesn't make a damn bit of difference. Something you can't prove, then what does it matter? You do research into it, whatever, but first, simply should just work on fixing your life, is what you should first simply work on. And use techniques that, a lot of people may be using, people that aren't. And there's a lot of people out there that are just going to tell you stuff that you want to hear, or they're going to send deception in there. Once again, I think there's a lot of power in telling you that things don't work over and over again so that you don't get into it or you don't even bother trying it. But there are simple practices and simple things everybody can do that can start changing their life right now. And to look into things like chakra removal. Like I said, I like the chakra system, so I guess I'm biased. I'll just put that out there, flat out. But, because in this video, he doesn't say that chakras are fake. He says there is a real chakra system, and then there's been a fake chakra system overlaid on top of that. And most people when they concentrate on those chakras, they allow negative entities come out through it. And once again, it's like the Christians saying that when you look at a sigil, your negative entities are coming out through your mind and through your brain. That's how they access it. And it's just horseshit. That's horseshit. Realizing you have powerful centers within your body will not allow a negative entity come through you. You watching something like this and then thinking that, holy fuck, every time I fucking did something with my heart chakra or my root chakra, I allowed a negative entity in. You've just allowed them into your aura, not into your chakra, into your aura. Here's what I know. Your chakra systems, if they're real, they're part of your body, they're part of your person, they're part of the 7 energies that created you. Negative entities can't feed off of that. They can't do anything with that energy. That is your energy to use. Can you use that energy and then get into fear emotion and then let a negative entity feed off your fear emotion? Absolutely. But you got to think of it differently. Thoughts, the word thoughts, just like the word breath in other older cultures, Latin, Greek, all come from the root word spir, S-P-I-R, which is where we get the word spirit from, spiritus. Okay, that's another word for breath in Latin. Greeks also got the equivalent, and Roman tries to copy it, but it's not quite the same. And then there's French and Italian and other things like that. They're all very similar. So breath and spirit and thoughts. So thoughts and thought forms are closer to spirits. So when you're getting one thought after another thought of negativity, it's not because you have some entity chewing up your fucking emotions and getting you and scaring you to get you to do more emotions, which there is that such thing as a possibility. There are entities that can find you and try to put you in fear. And this is why in the practice that I do. See, this is why it was a long time ago I said people that get into the New Age and the spirituality community that only start doing spirituality and the New Age techniques without knowing the basics of either witchcraft or ceremonial magic, having protection circles up and doing the daily practices, well then bad things can happen, because there are things out there that were either created by people or have always been there. Who knows? I can't say for sure. I have the bad feeling that it was all created by man, by human, by us. We can create everything and anything. So I have the bad feeling it's been created by us. And this is why people that are in spirituality are only New Age and don't get into ceremonial magic, witchcraft, shamanism, whatever tradition, okay? Hoodoo, voodoo, Santeria, whatever, Palo, all these old crafts. If you don't get the basics down, if you don't understand that when you do certain things, you need to set a parameter. Like, that's what the magic circle is. You project a magic circle around you, and that is Saturn's circle, and nobody's gonna fuck with Saturn. That's why those entities that can come to your root chakra that Saturn governs is bullshit. No one's coming into your root chakra and sucking energy out of your root chakra. No one. These energies are within you. Nobody's gonna fuck with that. That's why we project that magic circle, because we are going between the worlds. And when you get between the worlds is when you are susceptible to entities that you can't see, but can do stuff. When you go between the worlds, you're available and open to these entities. If you're not going between the worlds and going in the astral and meditating and trying to get to the astral plane and trying to astral travel and lucid dream and all these practices, if you're not trying to do any of that, you got nothing to worry about. All the entities and scary things happening in your life have been created by your mind by watching these things. So, simple remedy: get yourself a candle, dollar store candle, get a cheap pack of incense, write on it. Saturn if you want, Moon will work too, even Mars, okay? Use one of the darker planets, but Saturn on the Saturday or any day of the week during the hour of Saturn. You can look it up, it's easy, and say, I am grateful for Saturn banishing all the entities and energies, all the harmful entities and energies that sorry, I want to make this right because I don't want anybody to fucking not be able to fix their problems, but I am so grateful for Saturn banishing all the harmful energies and entities that attempted to affect me, that have attempted to enter my aura and feed off my negativity. And I am grateful for having Jupiter to protect me from any future entities. So maybe make 2 candles and write the Saturn one down I just said, and then one for Jupiter protecting you. I will be, so you gotta write this on there too as well after that. I will be harm-free, so mote it be. And then sign your name. Put that on the 2 candles, okay? That's all you gotta do. Light them, walk away. Don't have to do ritual, nothing. Every Saturday and every Thursday, light a candle for fucking Saturn and Jupiter. I would do it every day of the week. Do one for every fucking god there is, every day of the week. And you'll stop having that happen. But if you're going to watch stuff that's going to tell you that entities are coming after you, you're going to start to feel like that. But I'm telling you right now, if you're not actually traveling in the astral, if you're not calling anything to you, then it's really unlikely that this is happening through you or to you. Like I said, when you do magic, you realize that you need a magic circle around you to do this stuff. Because you're fucking with forces that have been created a long time ago, or may have been there this whole time that we just don't know about. It's one or the other, and I think they're probably both the same, but that's a different story. But if we have a chakra system, and if they've invented a fake chakra system, the fake chakra system, if it's not a real chakra system, then there's a chance that maybe there's an entity that can suck your energy through that. But if it's a fake chakra system, it wouldn't be able to receive your real energy through it. Therefore, it wouldn't be a good energy source for these demons or these entities. But the thing you should understand is, if you're going to look at this thing, go down this line of thought, if you really want to research this, then do it. But do it correctly. First, find out what negative thoughts and positive thoughts are. Okay? You should really read the book, Outwitting the Devil. It's free on YouTube to listen to it. And, you don't have to listen to the whole thing, but the part up into the interview with the devil is also really good, because every time he's in a negative state of mind, bad things happen to him. Every time he's in a positive state of mind, good things happen to him. And you can liken that to negative entities, positive entities. Or you can just say like attracts like. When you're having bad thoughts, you're going to keep having more bad thoughts. And when you have good thoughts, you're going to keep having good thoughts. So the important thing to do is to become depolarized, so that, you can kind of control in between. And so whenever you're in a good thought and it slowly goes to a bad thought, well, it's easier for you to get out of that bad thought back to the good thought. But if you're polarized, once you're negative, you're going to be completely negative. Once you're positive, you're going to be completely positive. And then you're going to get diagnosed with bipolar disease or something, or disorder, or whatever the case is. So, but you need to understand that thoughts are like spirits, and spirits are like thoughts. They are very close to being one and the same. So every time you get a thought in your head, you can think of that as a fucking spirit if you want. That is helpful. That's how I think of it. It's one of the ways I stay out of negative thought patterns, because I never liked negative spirits. I had a fear of fucking spirits, good or bad. I never wanted to see one in my life. When I got into ceremonial magic and then got into witchcraft, I had to get over that real fast. Because I'm dealing with divinity, I'm dealing with spirits, I'm using these powers because we can control these powers, not the other way around. We are in charge of them. We tell them what to do. But until you tell them what to do, then they're going to try to trick you, is another way of looking at it, and I don't think it's completely correct. But yes, there are things out there that say that if there is an entity around you or a demonic force around you, they will appear in monstrous form to try to scare you, because they feed off that energy. And if you can change your polarity and literally talk to them and say, why don't you feel the love? I love you. Come hang out with me. Let's have a talk. I love you. You can banish things with just love. Hell, if you're in love, you have a partner that you love, and you have sex in a room that you think you're being haunted in, you will get rid of that haunting by having passionate, loving sex in that room. Laughter is another form of banishing. I'll actually play a video by Frater after this to try to explain what I'm trying to get to. And I'm not trying to debunk him. I'm not trying to say anything's wrong with this. Like I said in the beginning, I'm already very much, probably, maybe you can even say, polarized against this material. But it's because I know what I know now. I was in these fear states before. And what you're going to notice is, if you ever get out of a fear-based state, if you ever decide to stop looking at fear-based material and just start a program and say, you know what, I'm not going to go around looking for more stuff to see what's wrong with the world and why things are happening bad and why my life sucks. I'm simply going to say, you know what, Corey said to do this, and he put Frater on here, and Frater said to do this book as well, and they both said it changed their life, and they're getting great results from it. Not only that, but Frater Xavier has all these other people with testimonials on here, and, you know, he plays the Thunder Wizard from time to time, who has his own program, and people that say they changed their life doing that, and he has Birch on there sometimes, and Birch says these people have changed their life by doing this. So I'm going to pick one of these programs, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to solely focus on my transformation, and I'm going to transform my life. If you were to do that instead of looking into fear-based stuff, because eventually what you're going to find is when you come out of that and you decide, you know what, I'm going to start talking about it, and maybe I can help people too. And then when you're going to get there, you're going to see that, holy fuck, there's these new fear-based concepts. Because I'm only 3 years deep, and when I started this, I never heard of chakra removal. You know, my fear-based things were the chemtrails, the Illuminati, all these satanic fucking elite groups, lizards versus like Palladians and shit like that, the injections into the kids, their needles or whatever, they're causing autism and all this other shit, 9/11 conspiracies, you know, the bankers conspiracies, you know, the bank, the Federal Reserve, the money shit like that, AI taking over. These were the conspiracies, you know, the main ones I focus on. There's a hell of a lot more than that, but you know, I never once heard of chakra removal. And it could very much be because once I hit the spirituality, I never fucking looked back. I didn't need to. I was done with that shit. I got what I needed to know from that, and I was able to get out of my fear-based stage. I was able to move up my chakra system. I was able to, my root, I passed the test that Saturn gave me for my root chakra. So he opens up my star chakra, my earth star chakra. So there's a connection there. Because Saturn's the ruler of this world. It hasn't always been that way, but right now Saturn's the ruler of this plane. Yet he's an air sign, not even an earth sign. Well, how can that be? Well, that's one of the reasons. As soon as you get past him, the earth star chakra opens up. Now you have a connection to the earth. And you can heal through the earth. And you can get energy, and you can use it to your benefit and all this. But if you do these practices, you come to find out that you can control your thoughts. And I don't care what Thunder Wizard says about thoughts. You can't control your thoughts. It's unuseful. If you can. Because here's how you do it. Now, it's not controlling them. And this is where the confusion lies, is in the definitions. It's not controlling them as if you get to pick and choose what thoughts are going to come into your mind. But the control lies in when a thought comes to you, like you're always going to be poor, you're useless, you're a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. I reject that thought and I accept I'm going to be rich, wealthy, and successful. And then that little negative entity or negative spirit or negative thought that was just there goes bye-bye. And he'll come back again. You say it again, you're never going to be rich. I banish that thought and accept I'm going to be fucking rich. Goes away. Comes back. But the more you do this, the less he comes back to a point where he stops coming around. And guess what happens when he stops coming around? Thought comes in. Holy fuck, you're going to be really rich one day. I accept that thought. I accept that thought, and I banish that I'm never going to go to poverty again. And that guy stays there. And he keeps telling me, man, you're doing good. You're going to be rich before you know it. Holy fuck, you ever doing good. You're going to be rich before you know it. And you don't have this negative and positive anymore. You have all positives around you. And it just fucking propels you into the spiral up. It's amazing. And I didn't believe it either when Frater Xavier first said it. And then I read the book. It said in the book, well, that's where he got it. I didn't believe it. It took me a while to just start that practice. Like I said, I was an armchair occultist looking into all these occult things and still looking at fear-based media and just trying to find excuses to not do anything and just hope the world died so I wouldn't have to do anything. And then I realized, you know what? All these fear-based things and everything going to shit and everything going bad, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. None of these bad things are going to happen. We might get a plague. Some people might die, but people die every year. People always die. If it's not COVID killing something, it's going to be cancer. If it's not cancer, it's going to be something else. It's going to be cars. It's going to be tornadoes. It's going to be planes. It's going to be whatever. There's always tragedy. You can't escape it. But we're never going to die. I mean, we're going to die. But you know what I mean? There's not going to be some massive event. There's going to be no fucking asteroid or comet hitting the Earth. There's going to be none of that. We are going to keep on keeping on until we figure out the truth. So, I guess what I'm trying to say here is, if there is a fake chakra system, and this person eventually tries to say, this is the real chakra system, guys, look at this one instead. Well, go with your gut, and hopefully your gut's not fucked up, but I'm telling you right now, I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. Yes, there could be a lot of nonsense out there, and yes, depending on who you learn your information from, you might have learned the wrong way. But that's why when you see something and you resonate with it, whether it's me or Frater or any of the million other teachers I don't even know about that have good information out there, if there's a curriculum or a system that you could start today, and even if it says 6 months to a year to get through the first initiation, just start it. It's the best thing you'll ever do. Yes, it's not going to be easy, and you have to be a little bit disciplined, but you can cast for that. You know, it's so easy to implant suggestions into your subconscious mind, and it'll do the heavy lifting for you if you do it correctly. You can quit smoking if you want to. I don't want to. That's why I'm not quitting it. I will eventually, but I'm not ready to quit yet. I enjoy it. But seriously, you can do anything at all. And if anything that you're choosing to do is to watch things that are going to bring you down and tell you you're not powerful and tell you you've been deceived. Well, yeah, we've all been deceived. But as far as I know, most New Agers are trying to keep, if they're good New Agers, they're trying to keep the world happy and love and light, which is the biggest problem with them. But when they're trying to deceive you and tell you there's a fake chakra system, and he seems like a nice guy. Like, he seems like he's trying to do whatever good. And I mean, I do Reiki all the time. I love fucking Reiki. I don't do it. I mean, I receive it. If I'm in a bad mood and I don't feel good, I put on Loon and Nate, and she fucking fixes me up. I've never met the girl in my life. The videos I watch are her older videos, and I fucking love it, man. Fucking every time. Works like a fucking charm. Now, sometimes, depending on the one I do, it'll give me energy, so then I can't sleep after. But it's like, holy fuck. You know, you can tell there's power in that. And yeah, you have to accept it. You have to say, I accept her Reiki or whatever, or I give her permission to heal me. Something like that. And, you know, it's all in your mind. It's all a symbolic representation for your mind to allow you to heal. Say, okay, well, he's taking steps to heal this guy, so he really does care about us. So, okay, well, let's heal up for him. You know, it could be as simple as that. It really could be. But it doesn't matter if it's as simple as that. That's the problem. Most things are so simple that people wouldn't believe them if you told them. And then when you start going into complex things like the chakra system is fake, but there's a real chakra system, but there's been another chakra system overlaid on top of the other chakra system, and these entities have created that one so that any energy you send to that chakra is really getting sent right to the fourth dimension, which is technically where the reptilians are, but that's a different story. But it gets sent to the fourth dimension, and now they're getting more powerful, and then fucking Lucifer and Satan's gonna come back, and oh my god, it's so bad, guys, stop practicing New Age stuff. And I get everybody to stop, and then it's like, haha, fuckers, we tricked you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not trying to be mean, okay? I was just trying to make that funny, and it didn't work out. Seriously, it's up to you. Just believe what you want to believe. That's your right. That's your right. I can't take that from anybody. But what I seen from him, and I didn't watch much, and I'm gonna watch more, just so I know. But this is what's coming through me. I put myself in a relaxed state as if I was going to meditate, and I put it on, and I just laid back, and I wasn't even going to look at him. so I wouldn't judge him. I was just listening to his thoughts. And then it was about, I don't know, 2 minutes into the first video, I had to change it. And I put on the chakra removal. And then another 2 minutes into that video, and all of a sudden, I couldn't do it anymore. And then I had to record this video. And I'm 24 minutes in, and it's just telling me more and more and more to keep on. Like right now, my mind's telling me to talk about how we're in control of everything. Meaning, we can control these entities. These entities aren't more powerful than you. They're in spirit form. They're in thought form, okay? They're floating around. And anybody tries to tell you they're more powerful than you and they're trying to rule the world is bullshit. Because they're little spirit things that are just simple thoughts. They're trying to make you act things out. Just because you accept this thought that you're always going to be poor, doesn't mean this entity lives within you and makes you poor all your life. It's not how it works. I know a lot of people like to say alcohol is spirits, and you get demonically possessed when this happens. And I mean, there could be truth to that. I think there's some underlying something there. Something that was probably missed in translation, because it's definitely not. You get possessed by a spirit. But you know, you burn brain cells to the point where, you know, you don't know what happened sometimes the next day, but I mean, you always have a vague recollection of it. And, you know, I even watched some New Age things that said in bars, there's these spirits all hanging up on the ceiling. And as you drink the bottle, it's like, really? If that's really how it works, then why do you have to drink the alcohol for them to possess you? Oh, because it puts you in an altered state or whatever. It's like, well, I don't know. Ancestors and a lot of spirits, man, if I'm doing something, especially to get money or whatever, I give a little bit of rum to a spirit, and I get the money like in 2 days. So you can say they're bad, but I give them spirit, and they don't even drink the shit. It's just there. They take the essence of it, the spiritual essence of it. So then I shoot that onto the ground and let it absorb into the ground after. But then I get the cash. So you say, well, it's demonic. You're using devil forces to give you money. It's like, how are devil forces giving me money? Or is it more likely that you don't want me to get money, so you're going to say that's from the devil? So you try to scare me into not getting it? Like being poor and not having money to pay for my kids' clothes is somehow a bad fucking thing? Like, that is so fucked up, that line of thinking. But you can command the spirits. This is why reject, banish, deny, and accepting the thoughts you do want to play out is so powerful. This involves no circle making, no meditation, no sigils, no magic of any kind. If you simply reject, banish, deny all the thoughts of like poverty, disease, being alone, being suicidal, being depressed, being an addict, if you continuously, maybe not the addiction, because addictions are pretty embedded in your subconscious, but if you banish all the thoughts you don't want to have, and you accept thoughts you do want to have, meaning, like I said, I just created the thought. The thought I got was I'm going to be poor. So I banished that thought away, and then I created my own thoughts. And on top of it, I'm going to be rich, is what I accept. Just doing that alone. That's what I played in that 2 videos ago, when I played by Frederick Xavier. If you listen to the whole part with Frederick Xavier. I had to delete the first version of that video because it got muted somehow. I think my Bluetooth connected on another device in the house, so the sound was technically going to that, and then it didn't play out, and that's why it was only a video. But if you replay it towards the end, Frederick Xavier, in his exact words, says, if you don't want to do, how can you do magic without doing magic? And it's reject, banish, deny. This controls the self-talk in your head. The self-talk is the things that go on over and over throughout the day that you are accepting. Every time you accept a thought, whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. But if you just go along with the thought, oh no, it's not going to happen, I'm never going to be rich. Every time you do that, that's what you're creating as you go. These are the negative entities this guy's talking about. It's the thoughts that you're having. If you've been stuck into a negative thought pattern for years and years and years, and you're still stuck in the negative thought pattern, it's very hard to get out of. You can get out of it, but you got to start this practice. You got to hit it from the inside out so it can start spreading. But anyways, I'm going to play the 2 videos I wanted to play here, both by Frater. And I hope you enjoyed another shorter video. I'm not done looking at this information. My subconscious was screaming at me to talk about this right away, and I don't want anybody to think of an asshole, especially the person who sent this in. I really appreciate you sending me this. It is really helpful to talk about stuff that people might be going through, because I didn't know people were thinking about removing their chakras. I'm here talking about chakras and planets. They're probably thinking, holy fuck, I'm gonna listen to this guy. We're supposed to remove our chakras, and I shouldn't be focusing on it. I should be focusing on the fact that no, don't remove your chakras, but let's do it the right way. And like I said, I made a video a long time ago about how people get into New Age and start taking on these different spiritualities without getting the full circle of it. If you don't know you need a magic circle to go in the astral, and you're trying to project yourself into the astral, doing lesser banishings or whatever you're doing, maybe you're just trying to astral project, you need protections up. Everybody should have protections up when they're sleeping, for God's sakes. I'm serious. Your subconscious is wide open. Your conscious mind is asleep. It can't protect your subconscious. Your subconscious can only accept. So it can literally get raped while you're sleeping. It is the girl mind after all. And she can only accept. So while you're sleeping, if there's a TV on, it's going right in. And if there's these negative thought forms all around you while you sleep and you don't have protections up, it can go right in. That is something you should potentially look into. Don't take my word for it. Look into and see if I'm right. This is why witchcraft has been demonized, because it stops this from happening, which changes your life. Do you know most wealthy, rich people have white candles burning almost all the time in their house? It's for wealth and prosperity. And when things get really bad, they burn a black candle, because they know black candles absorb energy. That's why the sun is attracted to black. If you wear black, you're going to be twice the size as the person wearing white. It's attracted to it. So burning a black candle in your house sucks up all the negative entities and energies into it, and then when it's gone, they're gone. They hate black candles. You light a black candle up, and even better, make a good sigil right on it. I am so grateful I've removed all the harmful entities and energies in my home. I will be Humphrey Somo to be. Sign your name. Bam! You're fucking okay. All these things are gone, and you can start feeling better about yourself, because you won't have these negative entities or negative thoughts sucking the life out of you. So he's not wrong about those things. He's not wrong about them, but it's just thoughts. Thoughts are the entities and the energies. They're also the reptilians that are trying to get us. It's all one and the same. Demons are a little more deeper and bigger, because you can actually call them and do evocations and shit like that. But once again, if you don't call them to you, then there's no reason for them to come on to you, unless someone has tried to send one at you. But that's complicated as well, and I'm not even going to get into that. But point is, there's some magical procedure that the New Age world needs to know, or else they're going to get themselves in big trouble. And this is going to be the consequences of not having circles up when they're doing magical things. You can't fuck with your mind without, anyways. You wouldn't perform brain surgery if you didn't know what you were doing, right? You wouldn't do science experiments with these toxic or combustible ingredients unless you kind of knew, the chemistry of these things. If you don't know the chemistry and what doesn't mix well with what, then you shouldn't be fucking with it. Same with this. You shouldn't be fucking with all these spiritualities, putting them all together, unless you know a bit about one. And you don't have to be a priest or a shaman or a witch or anything like that. You can become those things. You can become a ceremonial magician. You can become a witch. You can become a shaman. That's what you probably should do. You should figure out, and there's more than just these three, but you should figure out which one of these three you like, and then from there, you'll find other branches and trees and things you can do. But at the base root of it, witches and ceremonial magicians are both alike. Recognize we need a circle to do our magic within. And witches have adopted the lesser banishing ritual, the pentagram, which comes from Solomon, King Solomon. Dude's in the Bible, but dude was more magical than he was biblical. And religious. Anyways, I'm going to end it at that. I think I said some good things in here. I hope I don't offend anybody. I am really grateful for getting some of these comments so I can go over some of this stuff and break it down a little bit. But I don't want to go too much into it. So I'll leave it at however long it's been. And that'll be that. And I'll leave you with some videos that explain the nature of negative entities, how to banish them, natural ways of banishing them, all that. Because, yes, if you've been watching this stuff, you may have invited negative thoughts, negative entities to you. Once again, it's not entities as in there's some fucking dude, some big monster, fucking heathen-looking dude with no head, with a fucking pitchfork, or whatever. Whatever your image of a monster, an invisible monster is, that's not what it is. But you are going to have negative thoughts coming in over and over and over again that are going to keep you going down negative thought pattern rabbit holes, fear-based media shit. So you keep watching their stuff. It could be a thought form created for you to keep watching their negativity. And you shouldn't be doing that. You should be watching something that's going to empower you and help you. Because you're worth it. Because you're strong. because you can command those negative entities to fuck off. You can get them to leave you the fuck alone. Or better yet, you can turn those negative entities into positive entities and use them to go get you money and bring it back. Transformation, baby. That's what I'm all about. I use that like that. There's not a negative entity that comes in my house that doesn't either leave as soon as it comes in or gets transformed into a positive entity or energy. I have that shit carved right above my fucking front door and every one of my fucking windows. So nothing comes in my house without fucking leaving either positive or fuck this shit. I'm getting out of this happy home. But they don't like that. They can't thrive in that. It's the same thing with dirt. Having dirt on the floor, lots of clutter. Negative entities like that. They will make you lazy so you don't clean up. It's important to clean up. Go around with some salt and water and just sprinkle it all over the place and then sweep that shit up, throw it off your property or into the ground. On your property, into the ground's okay, I think. Keep it far enough away from your house if you can. You can bury it at someone else's property, especially somebody you don't like. Well, then you're going to hex them or curse them with your own negative entity. But that might come back to you, so don't do that. And it might not either. They might just hang on to that shit for years, and you're going to feel better while it's into them, but everything returns to source. Now, if that negative energy in the house isn't actually yours, well then, you're not going to hurt them. But that's a whole other story. And that's the thing. I know a lot about negative magic and curses and stuff like that. And it's easy to do. But if you know everything returns to the source, then why would you curse somebody? And you can say, well, Corey, you have episodes about cursing that guy that your wife was talking to. It's like, yeah, no, I know. And you guys seen the negative energy just come back to me. As much as I tried to create things to stop it from coming back to me, I think I reduced it, But things always return to source. And it takes a really powerful magi, magician, a magus, whatever, witch, shaman, to be able to transform negative energy into positive energy of their own. Someone else's, that shit's easy. You can turn that into whatever you want. Transformation sigil. Find out where it is. Birch made it. I have it on here multiple times. I think I put pictures of it places. Use it. Just start drawing it, getting into your mind. Use it. Anyways, that's it. I'll find those videos, I'll record them, and I'll play them. And I hope you enjoy. Have a great fucking day.
Rituals and get all the props and light all the candles in the dark room and conjure spirits to perform magic. The adept certainly doesn't have to. The adept can perform magic anytime, anywhere within his own mind and be quite successful at it. Now I want you to try something. Anytime you have a negative thought, I want you to treat it as an offer.
Real fast right here. The reason why he said the adept can certainly perform magic anytime, anywhere within his head. And then right after that, he says, I want you to try something. I want you to reject all the negative thoughts and all that. The reason he went from the adept performing his head to going into this practice is simply, this is how the adept does it. And this is the video. This is his first, not his introduction, this is his first video. So this is his second video in his Mind and Magic series where he goes through this. And he says to reject, banish, deny. The reason you reject, banish, deny is because of all the things he's about to say. But first and foremost is once you become the adept, this is how you can perform magic when in the moment, every day, just without ritual, without anything. He says this in a later video that I'll probably play a small clip from as well. But I just wanted to say it for you.
Candles in the dark room and conjure spirits to perform magic. The adept certainly doesn't have to. The adept can perform magic anytime, anywhere within his own mind and be quite successful at it. Now I want you to try something. Anytime you have a negative thought, I want you to treat it as an offer for you to either accept or reject. Obviously, if it's a negative thought, you're going to want to reject that. So you say, I reject that thought. You don't have to say it out loud. It's more powerful if you do. But you just say it in your head. I reject that thought. On the flip side, if you have a positive thought, you say, I accept that thought. And do that for 3 months. And start to see how much your life begins to change by that one practice alone. Well, it takes 3 months because you still got incoming crap coming your way. But after you reject the thoughts or accept them, stop thinking about it. Let it go. If they come back, reject them again. And by doing this, you'll start to condition yourself and train yourself to control your magic that you're already doing anyway, without the need for ritual and props and chants. Those things have their place and reasons, which we'll get into more a little bit later on. But you might say, how am I supposed to monitor my thoughts all the time? Well, just like anything else, it takes practice. After 3 months, it'll just become habit. And understand that this just isn't with thoughts. This is with anything that people say to you, anything you read, anything you hear. You might not be able to control your thoughts, or the things people say to you, or the things you come across, or the things you hear. But you can flip the switch between yes and no. You can certainly do that and begin to take control. Now, you'd be surprised how many people curse themselves by the things that they think and the things that they say, and also the things that they do. I was one of them. See, I'm not talking about anything beyond my experience. I know one guy, I've known him since, we were teenagers. Well, I was a teenager. He was early 20s. And I talk to him now on the phone, and the guy is the most negative person you ever talk to in your life. I talked to him for over, I guess an hour and a half, and not one positive thing came out of his mouth. And I pointed it out to him, and he's just, well, whatever, But he spews negativity just constantly, and then he wonders why his life's shit. And I'm not talking a girl who's angry on basic principles here. And I know a girl who's angry all the time, well, most of the time. Poorly aspected Mars. We'll get into that a little later on, but she has a lot of anger and violence returned to her. She took her kid to school one time, got out of the car, got hit by a bus. And I shouldn't be laughing, but as she's laying there in the street, an impatient lady who wanted to leave got angry with her for laying in the street, so she couldn't get out. So she got out of the car and started fighting with her. And she's the one that ended up losing in court because she was too argumentative. See, you got to get used to this idea that what you put out there is going to return to you. That's just Magic 101 before anything else. And it's amazing how many people don't get this. So you're already performing the magic anyway with what you're saying and what you're doing. So be attentive to what you're putting out there. And in the next lesson, I'm going to explain. Alright, so I'm re-uploading this video because it's been blocked in certain countries. I know Canada for certain, because of the copyrighted music at the beginning. And because I don't want to give them a reason to block, remove, or place ads on my videos, I'm just going to re-upload it without the music. But it gives me an opportunity to tell you about a dream I had last night. I was with my cousin, and he was complaining that he was having trouble with entities, and to where his bed was shaking and stuff. And I said, oh, well, I know something for that. And I started doing the Kabbalistic cross. And as soon as I started vibrating the first God name, the sound was not what I expected. It came out very loud, very low and deep, like a foghorn, just resonating through the entire environment. It almost had a brass-like quality to it. And the light that I was drawing down ignited into this brilliant flash of burning flame, is the only way that I can really describe it. And all of this surprised me, because this wasn't a lucid dream. This was just a normal dream, without my conscious awareness directing it. I was expecting just my normal, everyday, not a big deal ritual, and was unprepared for the power that came through. The cool thing about it is that my subconscious now knows what to do, all on its own now, without any conscious help on my part. The subconscious takes over when you're dreaming, understand? And my subconscious said, oh yeah, I know something for that. And yes, apparently the subconscious makes a big deal of that ritual, because it's a normal everyday thing for me. It's really, it's repetitive. But in my dream, it was wow. So subconsciously, the repetitive. But in my dream, it was wow. So subconsciously, they're very profound, which is why we do them. One thing I didn't mention specifically that I probably should have the first time around was always close your circles when you're finished with them. You always want to close the doors behind you, unless you just want something to wander in. And that will about do it. So everything past the opening credits is the re-upload. So if you've seen it before, you won't have to watch it again unless you want to. And I'll see you next time. Take care. Okay, so I've become very busy lately and my time is limited. However, I wanted to get a video out because I've had more than a few people contact me who feel they're under psychic attack, under threat of astral entities, and having disturbances in their sleep, etc., and wanting to know what they can do about it. And there's a number of things that we can do about it. At the risk of getting ahead of ourselves, because I don't really want to get into the true nature of these things just yet, but there are a number of things that you can do. The first of which is to banish, banish, and banish again. Now I know that I've stressed the importance of grounding exercises such as the middle pillar, but banishing is just as, if not more important. So you should be doing some form of banishing ritual in addition to the middle pillar. In fact, the entire neophyte grade, that is the initial grade, is nothing but practicing banishing and grounding. My personal routine during that grade was to come in the temple. I had a single candle at that time, so I would light my candle, I would light my incense, I would do my relaxation exercises and self-hypnosis to get myself into that trance relaxed state. I would then cast a circle. I would then do a visualization exercise where you imagine yourself getting larger and larger and larger until the universe is at your feet. Then I would do the Kabbalistic cross and lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. After that, I would do the evocation of the archangels. Is all simultaneously one ritual, basically. I would then do the middle pillar. I would then do my meditation on a point. I would then do my meditation on a tarot card.
Sorry, Frater, I didn't mean to stop you there, but I just thought it was funny, and you probably saw it on the screen recording. Birch Witch School 2020, June 1st it starts or whatever. And I mean, I said in this video, one of these videos, if, you know, find a program, person you like, fucking do it. And I haven't even published this video yet. I'm just recording it, and lo and behold, a thing drops down. Birch makes a fucking video, and it says Witch School starting such and such a date. So, probably not a coincidence. So any of you out there who are thinking the Birch way, well, you just got a hell of a fucking sign. And I mean, there's always the Frater Xavier way. If you can't afford to do anything right now, start the mystery school. Go onto my podcast and or my YouTube channels, and I will try to find out which one and let you know. But don't wait for me, because it might take forever. But I have left the Kabbalah, the Great Work of Self-Transformation PDF so many times on my podcast, and so many times as a link on my channel, my YouTube channel, that, I mean, you should be able to find it pretty easy. I don't know if there's a fast way to do it by searching it, maybe on a computer, just going into every video and going through the descriptions. But I've left that book, so you can literally start the whole mystery school and have the book Kabbalah, Great Work, Self-Transformation, start your initiation phase just like that. If you have the money to follow a program, Frater Xavier's programs go along with the Kabbalah, the Great Work, Self-Transformation, because that's what he promotes. But he makes magical programs to also teach you the best way to have the best mindset and different spells you can do to manifest money before you get the money, before you get the right mindset, rather. And this way, you get the money, and then things happen where, like, you manifest 10 grand, but you only get 5 grand of it to spend because something happens that could kill 5 grand. Well, you know you need to do other magics to move your set point and shit like that. But nonetheless, you start this process, you'll start the transformation, you'll start doing the LBRP and different things like that to banish entities, banish your own thought forms, banish any other things you've created yourself, and you'll stop watching things that will, you know, bring you to bad places. I'm still going to go through all the things she put on my channel. I have a feeling that this is going to be how it may go most of the time. I might say there's some truth to these things, but for the most part, it's going to break down into you focusing on fear versus when you should be focusing on how to empower yourself. But nonetheless, I'm still going to go through them all because it was a viewer who asked me to do something, and I'm going to do that for them. So I feel the need to actually do what she asked me to go through, and I'm going to go through all these things. But just so you know, I'm pretty positive I'm going to mostly come down to thought forms, and this is something to put you in fear and to disempower you. But nonetheless, I'm still going to go through them all, because you never know what I might find during that. And, you know, the fun and the magic, and it's all in the journey, right? The journey to these things are going to give me more insights and better things to teach. So I know I'm being led this way for a reason, so I'm going to follow that intuition. But I'm just like me talking about this happening, and then Birch's thing pops up talking about you should stop looking at fear-based media and follow a guru or follow a teacher and just do what they preach and teach instead of continuously looking at stuff that's going to disempower you. Well, all of a sudden Birch's thing comes down, Witch School, fucking, I forget what day it was, November 1st potentially, something like that, which, don't get me wrong, as soon as I can, I'm taking one of those. I haven't took one yet from Birch, and when I do, it's going to be one of his yearly days, his older ones, or one of his new ones, Witch School, whatever. I just haven't had the time to be able to sit down and actually do his programs. Because Frater's are the audios that you just listen to, and his, you can do the same thing, binge watch them and all that, but anyways, I'm not going to get into all that. I just thought it was funny, and I really wanted to bring it up, so I'll go back to Frater.
Simultaneously one ritual, basically. I would then do the middle pillar. I would then do my meditation on a point. I would then do my meditation on a tarot card, and I would end with the Kabbalistic cross, and then I would declare the temple closed, and I was done. Aside from the meditation exercises, the entire grade is nothing but banishing and grounding. You're not really calling anything to you, so there's very little risk of anything getting through. And so you're able to practice. For when you do call things to you, you also want the ability to send it away when needed. Now, there are a ton of how-tos out there on the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. I'm not really having to go through how to do all that. It's easily found. There are a number of videos on YouTube, as well as in the book that I recommended that I work out of personally. Kabbalah, Magick, and there are a number of videos on YouTube, as well as in the book that I recommended that I work out of personally. Kabbalah, Magick, and the Great Work of Self-Transformation by Liam Thomas Christopher. Now, a natural form of banishing is laughter. So if you can think of something really funny and laugh for 5 minutes straight, you know, like a really, really good laugh, that will do a lot to clear out a lot of negative things. Now, you can either create or obtain protection wards to keep on your person or around the area in which you sleep, amulets, charm bags, etc. If you do not know how to create and charge such an item, you can always get one from our friend Phil, and I've put his channel in the recommended links on the About tab on my YouTube page. So you can click on his page, get the information for his store, call him up, contact him, explain to him what you need, and he'll be able to hook you up. His page is the Witch School page. The uncrossing ritual that I had done a video on previously is very, very good at eliminating negative entities from you. However, you also want to do a house cleansing when you're doing these things, especially the uncrossing, because if anything detaches from you, where do you think it's going to go? Into your environment. And see, this is why I was talking about my $3,000 vacuum cleaner. It wasn't to brag, it wasn't to gloat. It was to stress the importance of keeping your environment clean. Negative entities do not like hanging out in clean environments. It's probably where the old saying, cleanliness is next to godliness, came from. So you want to keep your space clean, especially where you sleep. Get under the bed, in every corner, etc. Now, I'm sure many of you are familiar with paranormal shows such as Paranormal Witness. You know, I watch these kind of shows as comedies. I find them hysterical. Most of the shows always start off and end the same way. Typically, a family will move into a house, or they'll renovate an old house, and then activity will stir up, and it drives them crazy, and all these frightening things are happening, and eventually they'll either call a paranormal team or a priest. If they call a priest, the priest will come in, and there's very little he can do. It scares him off. He runs out the door. If they call a paranormal team, they'll get some kind of evidence or something. Eventually, they'll come down to having a house blessing or cleansing. I remember one show where the guy called himself a spiritual cleanser or something like that. I've never heard of that. Well, it's the same thing. He's doing the same thing that you should be doing when you have these type of things happening. They'll either break out the holy water or the smudge sticks, or both, and they'll go to each room and bless and say some prayers, or typically even the Psalms. Psalm 21, I believe, is good for that. Now, to make holy water, you want to get some water, you want to put some salt in there, preferably sea salt. Mix it up real good. Hold the container in your right hand while you're visualizing a light above your head. Imagine that light coming down through your body, through your arm, and into the water. Turn the visualization up, make it brighter until you can feel it, until you can feel the vibrations going into the container of water, and that container of water becomes brighter and brighter and brighter into where it's blinding you. It's good to do this while reciting the Psalms, Psalms 21, or whatever prayer is good for your tradition. Okay? Any prayer of protection will do. When you've been able to hold this visualization for several minutes, then you should be done and you have holy water. it's a good idea to bless your smudge sticks as well, your white sage smudge sticks. With the holy water, you want to go from room to room and sprinkle holy water on everything, especially the corners. Make sure you get the corners and any areas that are not in view where anything can hide. Same thing with the smudge sticks. Now the big difference here between holy water and smudging an area is the difference in the elements that you're using. We talked about it before. Water and earth are receptive elements. Fire and air are projective elements. So when you're using a smudge stick, for example, fire and air, you want to open a window because these two elements are going to chase the negative energy entity away, and you want to have somewhere where it can go. You want it to go out. You don't want to just corner it somewhere like a wild animal. Now on the flip side, using water and salt as the receptive elements, they're going to draw the negative energy into itself. Okay, so you're going to want to clean that stuff up afterwards. Another vacuuming, another rub down, wash down. Dispose of those materials, those elements off of your property. Don't just dump them down the sink or toilet unless you want it to go into your plumbing, etc. Now the important thing to keep in mind when doing a house cleansing with these methods is that negative energy isn't the only energy susceptible to the elements. Positive energy will also be absorbed by the water and the salt. They're neutralizing agents. They bring things back to neutral. So if you have a happy, positive home, you do not want to do this. You only want to break out the smudge sticks and the holy water if you're having problems with negative energy entities. Okay? Whenever I want to discharge an item, maybe I got something at the store or something, I don't want other people's energy or the manufacturer's energy or anything on that or within that item. I'll bury it in salt. And I'll do that for about 24, 48 hours, sometimes longer, so that the salt absorbs all that, and then I dispose of the salt off of my property. Now I didn't make the object more positive, I just brought it back to neutral. I can now take that object and charge it with positive or negative energy if I so choose. It's the same thing you're doing with the holy water and the salt. Okay, you're just bringing things back to neutral. Another thing you want to do is get some protection oil. Uncrossing oil is excellent for this. If you don't have any, you can get some from Phil. You want to anoint the forehead, back of the neck, chest, groin, and feet in an equal-armed cross sign, which is just like a plus sign. And then after you've done your house cleansing, because you don't want to trap anything in with you, so after you've done your house cleansing, you want to anoint on or above each and every door and window opening to your home. And the final thing I'm going to go over, and one of the most important, is to stop dwelling on it. And go back to the very first lesson where I said to reject and banish those negative thoughts. These things are attention whores. What they'll do is they'll try to attach to you and then give you and feed you negative thoughts. The first thing they'll do is they'll try to scare you. And the more they scare you, the more they get you thinking about it. And the more you think about them, the more access you give them. They get a better foothold. And the whole thing just becomes an endless spiral. One that gives them more control and dominance in your life. So you want to reject and banish any negative thoughts or thoughts of them that pop into your mind. I've been able to chase away some pretty nasty things with nothing but just love in my heart. They do not like that. I take pity on them that they cannot feel the love. And I'll ask them questions, Why do you not want to feel the love? Why do you reject joy and happiness? And they can't get away from me fast enough. But see, in order to use that method, you have to be out of a fear state. You cannot be in fear and have success with that. So this is why you need to utilize all these other traditional methods to rid yourself of these things until you can get to that place where you're no longer afraid. There's a saying that I have that those who go looking for demons are the ones who find them. Meaning the more you focus on these things, the more foothold and more likely you are to draw these things to you. I know of a group who focuses on reptilians, and a lot of the members never had problems with reptilians until they joined the group and started focusing on them. You got to remember that the subconscious is also connected to the collective unconscious, where all the data is stored. And when you're focusing on something like that, you're basically trying to access that. And then you have problems with it. It's not that these things aren't real. They're very real to those who experience them. And just as real as any of the stimuli collected and transmitted by your conscious mind sensory faculties, sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. These are all signals that are processed by the brain and then interpreted. So in that regards as to what's real and what's not. And so they are very real. But what you think about, you bring about. And what you focus on expands. Giving these things the attention is exactly what they want. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you the crazy things that have happened to me. I've had my keys slide across the coffee table right in front of me as I'm watching TV, all on their own. I've had those negative entities of just pure negativity visit me in the middle of the night and wake me up. I've had every plumbing problem that you can imagine, one right after another, when dealing with a rogue water elemental. We live on a street that's on a hill. And I've seen it defy the laws of physics when water from a drain pipe up the street came down the street, stopped in front of my driveway, turned 90 degrees, jumped the curb, which means it had to go uphill to get over the curb, and run down my driveway to my front porch. I have pictures of that. One time in temple when I was doing my exercises and imagining the bright light over my head, I had a bright flash right in my face as if somebody set a flash cube off in front of me, blinding me. And every fiber of my being would swear that that was physical light. But it could have been a product of the mind, or the mind interpreting the signal as physical light. The experience was very real. However, was it physical real? To this day, I don't know. Does it really matter? I mean, we deal with it and we move on. An experience is just that. It is an experience. And we are meant to learn from our experiences. You're going to find that a lot of the so-called hauntings are self-made. Indian burial grounds and the curse of King Tut and these other civilizations of the past would purposely create what is known as thought forms or servitors to guard their burial sites. Ceremonial magicians eventually learn to create their own positive thought forms or servitors to help aid in their tasks. We're not going to get too much into that right now, but just know that you can accidentally create a thought form too just by simply focusing on it. And then giving it the characteristics of what you're focusing on. Fear and intimidation, reptilians, and then the reptilians are next to you. So, if you're having problems with negative entities, a psychic attack, and things like that, you want to employ the methods that we've discussed here, and then stop focusing on them. Banish all your negative thoughts and avoid giving them the attention that they're seeking. It's really not a big deal once you learn how to handle them. And we'll get more into entities and all that later. But for now, I hope this helps those who are having issues. And okay, so I was all ready to do the first lesson on astrology when that subconscious intuitive side of me said, no, You need to do this. And I'm like, really? Okay then. And I know it was the intuitive side of me because it gave me 2 words, rose cross. And that's something I haven't done in well over a year, if not more, for very good reason. The rose cross ritual was the furthest thing from my conscious mind. So, before we get into astrology, which we will, we're going to go over a few other things that you can do to protect yourself against people wishing to do you harm through psychic attack, entities, or just bad vibes in general. Now, the first method, I don't know what it's actually called, but I call it putting your shields up, or return to sender. So when you feel that you're under some kind of bad vibe or something, you put your shields up. So you want to get into a relaxed state, which, by the way, as a side note, if you're having trouble getting into a relaxed state, you need to work on your breathing rhythm. There's an exercise called the fourfold breath, which goes as such. You breathe in for 4, you hold it for 4, you breathe out for 4, you hold that for 4, you breathe in for 4, etc. If you can't hold it for 4, hold it for 2, because the rhythm is more important than the count. You need to get into a rhythm. If you're not breathing in a rhythmic way, then the odds are you're not relaxed enough. And at first you're concentrated on the count, but eventually that count will fade away while you slip into that rhythmic pace required for the theta brainwave state of trance. And this is for all your relaxation exercises at the beginning, and why all the spiritual gurus have you focus on rhythmic breathing. So you get relaxed, and then you want to imagine your aura around you, okay, and visualize your aura. Hopefully you all know what the aura is, the bioelectromagnetic field around your body. If you don't know, then Google will be your friend at this point, because I'm not going to get into all of the aura stuff just yet. Only to say that you imagine it, you visualize it as clearly as you can, and you imagine that the outer part of that aura is turning very, very solid, very, very hard, and very, very reflective, and looks like a mirror, so that anybody looking at you will see themselves, and anything coming at you will bounce off of it and be returned to sender. And you repeat those words over in your mind over and over while you're visualizing return to sender, return to sender, return to sender, return to sender. You don't have to say it out loud. You can just repeat it over and over in your mind. Now, the important thing here is it's not just a one-off. You just don't do this for 5-10 minutes and you're done. You're going to have to keep that shield up the entire time the attack or the bad vibes coming at you are taking place. You may have to do this for several hours. The good news is it's one of the easier visualizations to maintain. As long as you can keep the idea that you are in a bubble, a big metallic reflective bubble the shape of an egg or, whatever, you're doing okay. It doesn't have to be a mirror. You can make it a big, rubber or something. I'm rubber, you're glue. Everything bounces off of me and sticks to you. That might actually be better for the subconscious, that old childhood rhyme saying there. And if you're decent at relaxing, you can go do other things. I mean, you don't just have to just sit there, in the same spot. I've been able to, move around as long as I'm keeping that visualization in my mind. And I've been able to, sit there and watch some TV, which I don't watch a lot of, and just have that feeling of, things bouncing off my shield. And I'd do that for several hours. Now, I've had success with this. Both of these methods that I'm teaching you now I've had success with. I remember one evening I felt something odd, bad vibes. Something wasn't right. So I put the shields up and I held it for several hours, most of the night. And it was about a day or so later that I was talking with a friend of mine who proceeded to tell me about another mutual friend of ours who was talking shit about several people, myself included. A couple days after that, that particular individual lost his job of 20 years. Coincidence? All magic is going to seem like a coincidence. This isn't baneful magic. These people are doing it to themselves. They're being hit with their own force they've put out. As long as your intent isn't malicious. If you know who's attacking you, there's no need to get upset or angry or any of that. In fact, the happier you can be while you're maintaining this, the more defended you are. Simply by polarity. You need no other thought than return to sender. That's all you need. And it seems to work rather well against gossipers, rumor spreaders, and shit talkers. Okay, so the other method we want to discuss is the rose cross ritual. I'm not going to discuss how to do the rose cross ritual. You can easily find it online, and I will post a link in the description to a page where you can find the exact method. The rose cross works with the aura as well. However, instead of hardening it into a defensive structure, it's shrouding it and concealing it. This is the infamous invisibility ritual, because those wishing to do you harm will not only have a difficult time finding you, but may even lose interest altogether. Now, it's said that when you do the Kabbalistic cross and the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, that you light up the astral plane. Yes, you banish things and keep things at bay, but everything knows where you are. And after the last dream that I had told you about in the previous re-upload of Banishing Entities, that little forward I put about my dream about me doing the Kabbalistic cross, and it lit everything up, that certainly seems to be the case. The rose cross does the opposite. The rose cross will hide you on the astral. Now, the warning that comes with the rose cross is that it just doesn't hide you from those wishing to do you harm. You do not want to do this unless you like being ignored. Family, friends, everyone. It's not that people can't see you physically. They can still see you physically, but your aura is shrouded, and if you're just going about your business, your daily business, you will be ignored. You have to be careful crossing the street after doing this ritual, because drivers may not see you. So use with caution, because in my experience, it seems to last longer than I really wanted it to. I was even being ignored on Facebook and social media. So now you know why I haven't resorted to using it since I've started doing these videos. I actually want people to watch them. No sense in doing a video series if I'm performing the Rose Cross. But somebody out there needs this, because otherwise I wouldn't have been directed into talking about it. I just need to make sure that you understand what you're in for. This is an extremely powerful ritual, and unless you're jumping up and down, waving your arms around, and shouting at the top of your lungs in order to get someone's attention, it's going to be a very...
Today, Psychic Defense and Shield. Howdy, kids. Your Uncle Birch with another episode. Today, Psychic Defense and Shielding. I was just watching a video over at Mystery School. Gave me the idea to do this video because I have so many videos I mean to do. I forget. I should write them all down at some point. But folks over at Mystery School give me a lot of plugs, and I found that out because my viewers keep telling me so, but I haven't been able to thank them because you can't leave any comments on the webpage, but clearly they watch. I was just watching a video on Mystery School a honey jar, and I saw a candle that I made in the video. I make thousands of candles, and the people that work here make candles as well, but I remember every one that I made out of those thousands. They're like my little children out there doing stuff in the world. I love when I see videos with my stuff in them. There's several videos out there where people bought tools for me and things, and they're in the video. I forget John's channel, but the guy that talked me into doing videos, he often has my stuff in his videos. But today, the shielding and psychic defense without stuff. We have plenty of stuff for psychic defense, for protection. You can always visit our website at sacredgrovesantacruz.com. It's mostly the things that we make on the website. We don't fill it with jewelry and a lot of other things. Probably will do that at some point, but haven't done that. So mostly what you see there at sacredgrovesantacruz.com is the things that we make: potions, lotions, brews, stews, that kind of thing. But you don't always have something on you, right? So you're going to need to shield all the time. You know, when you're going to sleep, it's when you're most vulnerable. Actually, when you've been asleep for a while, like 3 in the morning, is the most vulnerable time. So for me, in addition to all the other ritual stuff that I do, I come up with different ideas. And one of the things that I do is the thing that I'll teach you now. First, over at Mystery School, they hit on what was it called? The fourfold breath. Great idea, great idea. It is important when you're trying to relax, and relaxation, concentration, and projection being the 3 keys of magic. So first, we need to relax. Hope that truck wasn't too loud. And one of the best keys for relaxing is rhythmic breathing, and he gives a great technique over at Mystery School, the fourfold breath. You inhale, hold it for 4 seconds. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, release it, hold that release for 4 seconds, then repeat the process. And as he says, if you can't do 4 seconds, maybe you need to stop smoking or something. But if you can't do 4 seconds, you could do 2 seconds, 3 seconds, change that rule accordingly. But the rhythmic breathing is really important. So you're going to relax, and I want you to think about this while you're relaxing, while you're practicing your rhythmic breathing. Some people confuse the word ritual with religious rites. Our religious rites are rituals, but ritual really means more akin to the word habit. That's why we call the morning ritual, and often, morning rituals, getting coffee, checking the news, working out, whatever your morning routine is. Routine is ritual. And that idea kind of gets lost in the equation when we think of it as religious rite. But what it means there is that our religious rites are supposed to become habitual. So we repeat the processes so many times that they automatically take on their own rhythm. They automatically start happening. So you establish this process that I'm going to teach you, and you keep doing it, and then you're able to make it easier. So what we do, first we relaxed, and we speak the words, or shout them out in our minds, because maybe, we live with somebody, we don't want to wake them up. Shields up. Shields up. I borrow a lot of ideas from Star Trek. Shields up, we say. And when we say shields up, we visualize projecting our aura, pushing our aura out, changing the color of our aura. There may be many colors in our aura, but we want to visualize a shell on our aura of purple light, purplish, bluish light. Blue, I've seen blue done as well, but I like purple. Purple, and we fill the purple light with little gold flecks, sparkly flecks, almost like glitter floating around, or gold flakes floating around in our aura. We push that out, and We tell that aura, you're going to shield me from negativity sent from other sources. You're going to shield me from negativity sent from other sources. Now, you want to make that even better? I'll give you another one. Now, first of all, I'm not going to make it easy for you because in my tradition, we were taught that it is the seeking of knowledge that brings wisdom, not the giving